Everyone is worried, but the real story for 2021 is going to be deflation, not inflation. And as Yogi Berra said, the great philosopher and great Yankee catcher, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Well, guys, they're taking the wrong fork. The fork is deflation or inflation. And they're taking the inflation one and not the Congressional Budget Office has come out just recently and said that our debt to GDP ratio is over as 100%. And if you figure in all the other debt, we're way up there. And what that means, and this is pretty serious, all right, it is that every dollar you borrow, and you got here, so you card here, it goes to pay the interest on the previous debt. It doesn't help you one bit, and it doesn't help for expansion. It just puts you bigger in the hole. All right. And the viable for this debt bubbles and everything is by these guys, Reinhart and Rogoff. This time it's different, and this is started changing the rules with options and everything. And one of the main things that happen is you have the failure to enforce the rules. And this is when they let the options market go in, and it weakened the Federal Reserve, because what held this market together then. And only the financial people lost their jobs, and the economy it kept moving and didn't go into the hole. And so the other example is more serious, when Sandy Weill got Congress to cancel the Glass-Steagall Act, which put the cap on banks. And took the cap off the banks, and he made billions. And several years later, he said, "Oh, I was sorry, I did that." You're one that's created the bubble. The debt bubble that we're in now is when they passed the Dodd-Frank Act in 2010 and 11 in there. Because what that did, it canceled out, and it protects the institutions. And there we get a country can inflate its debt to get out. The one that's up to here, all right. So you got to watch that. That leads to a depression or a major recession and all that, But they're not talking about a depression. I was born in a depression, so I remember how gloomy it was. And that's a very serious thing, how to get out of. It's pretty hard to get out of a depression. And I'll go into that in another episode. And so raising wages, the communist thing that Bernie Sanders thinks, that doesn't work. All right, you raise a minimum wage like they did in Hartford in the 70s and early 70s rather, and they raised the minimum wage, and it became a ghost town at night and all that. But here's a rule, going way back: you raise the minimum wage, it increases the number of robots. All right, puts people out of work. That's deflationary. It's not inflationary. And so it's just like volcanoes when they go off, That's not global warming, it's global cooling, because the earth is cooling off and letting off excess heat. Now, Here's the final one that you can't dispute. This is a good one too. It is right up your alley. All right. When they canceled the Keystone Pipeline, that's a disaster economically because it puts out a lot of people out of work, from engineers, the pipe fitters, pipe makers, and guys making the global, or not global, graders, all kinds of people. That puts them out of work. And when they're out of work, that's deflationary. And the way you figure that out is all that money that was being circulated is stopped, dead coal in its tracks. Figure out where they're going to spend their next dime. And it's going to go on heat, gas, and utility bills and food. That's why it's really deflationary. And to prove it, you can't refute this one. All right. The Federal Reserve figures the velocity is high. That's good. That's means its economy's doing well. But when the velocity money declines, that's deflationary. And you want to know where it is right now? You can go look it up. It's right there, stare you right in the face. It's